Um, what is help me understand because you have so much going on.
Hmm.
It's unclear to me what you're looking to optimize for. So, for instance,
Hmm.
um, is your ideal scenario you build out the dev shop, vision development, or is your ideal scenario one of the apps pop and then you become like a software company focused around one particular product?
Hmm.
What's your vision for it?
Well, my vision is more so just the impact in building up the Black tech entrepreneurs market.
Okay.
Under tap and underdeveloped. So my whole deal is investing in at the same time as building it up. So I already have a startup that's building it. That's not the problem. But in order to build it up, we need to have successful ventures.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I want to have the ones that I do support in my
Mhm.
portfolio to be successful. At the same time, I want to
I
also have
understand.
the capital to invest.
I
So those are
understand.
my two problems.
Okay. Okay. That helps a lot.
Hmm.
So, okay. Yeah. I mean, I um pretty much did something similar. It was a little bit less like development focused, but my project before Harlem Capital is a project called Co-Found Harlem,
Hmm.
and it was like a incubator, is a not for profit. It was not necessarily a business, but it was an economic development type of play, and we would incubate businesses in Harlem, and then we wouldn't take any equity, but then they committed to staying
And
in Harlem.
mhm.
Blah blah blah. Point is though that I went through a similar set of challenges where it's like, all right, well, I want to build up the ecosystem,
Exactly.
but in order to do that, you kind of need a winner. And
Hmm.
then you start realizing that these big non-for-profits, like let's say the ones that help black kids get to college, let's say, and graduate, you notice everything is so we're so narrative driven and story driven that those big organizations usually will find a golden child. That's the case study.
Exactly.
Oh, Jerome went through, he started here and now he's at Harvard, and that's their big kind of unifying cry. It's what makes people donate, it's what makes them win grants, etc. So I think you are 100% correct to deduce that it needs to come down to kind of a winner, but it takes time to produce winners. um
Exactly.
and so what do you do in the meanwhile? Well,
Hmm.
um you have an opportunity to go a number of different ways. I think they can all work. I think it's going to be a little bit more based on, I think choosing it is going to be a little bit more based on which one of these routes you personally feel best equipped to go down. So for instance,
Hmm.
me being you, um, this is definitely right in line with economic development. This is definitely like, I try to position my organization to align with different sources of capital that are out there, right?
Gotcha.
You don't need capital to get it going because you've kind of, you've been doing it, but it does help. Um, and venture investment is not the right vehicle for this because they're looking
Okay.
for outsized returns, and that will work a little bit more once you have your winner. You'll
Yes.
see that winner, whatever that product is or company is, that will be a perfect magnet for VC because all different types of money behave differently, right? And so VC is in the world of quick growth. You see something like massive, boom, they cling on. You you're doing platform development where you're developing not only other businesses, but you're also looking to develop the ecosystem. And so, when I was running Kofi Harlem, I said, well, what are the capital sources that are available to, you know, organizations like mine? And then I realized, like, okay, I'm technically in the STEM bucket.
Hmm.
I'm technically in the economic development bucket. I'm technically in the workforce development bucket. I'm technically in, yeah, those buckets. So then there are different there's different sources of capital flowing through those buckets, right? And there's different ways organizationally that you can structure yourself to take in that capital.
Okay.
Now, for instance, I personally decided to structure Co-Found Harlem as a non-for-profit. You don't have to, and I'm not necessarily encouraging it as much as I am just sharing that I figured out that a lot of the funding in the STEM bucket, in the economic development bucket, all those kinds of things were coming in the form of grants, and those grants typically, are for 501c3, which is not for profits. So I made that choice to make the umbrella company a non for profit so that I could have an easier time getting grant funding. Okay.
Gotcha.
And these are local grants, and like you'll see that the local government and city in Dallas will want to support and make a robust stance on how they're helping to combat all the racism that's going on. And so it's actually a very timely type of, you know, window for you guys where you guys can be the premier, you know, technology, like that tech development, helping kids kind of, build their chops and whatever. And so the way I structured it was I had the co-found Harlem, the top company, structured as a non-for-profit, and I was taking in these grant funds, right? So I was taking grant funding from the city, 25K, another 50K, 80K, whatever. And that's building it did it twofold, right? It allowed me the opportunity to draw salary, which I definitely needed because I was really running on fumes. But it
Hmm.
also gives you the resources to, I had a space. I did negotiate getting a space for free because you're in such a specific mission driven type of vehicle where that really augments your business. If you were
Hmm.
just a straight up dev shop, no one would give a fuck. Like, hey, I don't care. You got to pay me. But the moment you're doing stuff for the kids and blah blah blah, you start becoming valuable actually for real estate developers to work with you because you make them look good. You become their golden child for hey, yeah, we work with vision development. Yeah, it's a wonderful boot camp for kids to, learn the code or, whatever the specific angle is, but that using that angle got me 3,000 square feet of space for free in one of there was a developer who made a new building in Harlem, and he was having trouble kind of filling it. And so I was like, "Hey, let me make your building cool. Let me go in there. I need the space for free, but then when as the companies grow, they'll rent space from you."
Hmm.
And that was the deal that we had. So so now and then by the way, that works more as well when you're a non for profit. So I strategically wanted to go non for profit to kind of make it easier on me to fund all the different things I had to do. But then here's the trick: all the companies that we were spurring up were for profit, right?
Hmm.
So the top co was a not-for-profit to just get all the supportive funding and the capital and the local government and the public-private partnership and all, and then they'll tout you as a champion. First, they won't support you, by the way, and then they will support you once you start getting some traction. It's just natural. The investors are the same way, as you know.
Hmm.
Um, and then the companies that we were starting, all the way that we did our program was we were soliciting entrepreneurs to come from anywhere and everywhere to come to Harlem, and so we were building their businesses, and they were for profit. So look, that is a very I almost never get to talk about this because it's such a specific type of organization and vehicle. But in this particular case, there might be some things that you can kind of borrow from what we did and apply to
Gotcha.
your blueprint. Um, so there's that. You also you could there's a number of things that you could do, man. I mean, really, if you wanted to stay for profit, let's say you could be a dev shop, like you could make it so that schools pay you to send you their kids, and they can sponsor like an internship. And because one thing that schools really want a lot of is they want their kids to have hands-on training.
Hmm.
They want like live hands-on training, and they love that stuff, man. So if you have an office space, let's say, or maybe not, maybe with COVID-19, maybe you don't even need the office space, but let's just say you picked up a couple of local contracts from big businesses in the area and you're building out their technology for them. Um, and so you have a couple of big contracts and you got plenty of work, you can actually get paid by the schools for them to send you their kids and for you to run almost like an internship program where you can show them on the job how you build apps and stuff like that. So, you know, th- that's pipeline development. That's what you would call that. The reality is that the nature of what you're looking to tackle, you can fit into so many different. And remember when I said earlier, there's going to be a lot of ways that you can go about it and still win. The
Exactly.
answer is, which one of those routes is the route that you personally, Robert Seals, feel best equipped to be able to to be able to go down. So
Gotcha.
for me, because I was getting good at branding and building a movement and stuff like that, I did want to go ahead and do the not for profit because I wanted to build a movement and build momentum and just like, and that gave me a rallying cry. Yo, we're supporting. And I got a lot of local support, and that really built my brand and stuff like that. So that's because my core competency was branding and media and so forth. So you may decide that you want to do like a more dev shop forward approach because you're better at tech. So I guess I'll just ask you, like, which route do you feel like you're naturally kind of strongest at?
Uh, I definitely see the value in the nonprofit as far as like the branding,
Hmm.
and especially with the current situation that we're in.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely see a tremendous value in that. I can say from my past experience, I've probably been more inclined to do the DevOps thing and just do
Hmm.
contracts and then get interns to come in.
Yep.
But hearing you talk about the nonprofit and the branding, especially right now, and then I see these corporations are saying that they're going to allocate a specific amount of funding to minority development programs.
Hmm.
That's a tremendous opportunity.
100%.
Yeah.
And my job as a fellow entrepreneur who's helping, I guess, guide you isn't to cram any one path down your throat. It's more so to present the options.
Hmm.
And the reality is that you'll play to your strengths, and actually you can incorporate the DevOps underneath the not for profit thing. And like
Hmm.
I think that will help you meet the moment because it removes the component of like you'll be making money, but you'll be able to like capitalize on the narrative of like, yo, we're doing this, and you are doing it because I asked you earlier, like, yo, what's your goal? And you're like, yo, building products is cool, and we hope one of them takes off, but this is more about the ecosystem.
Hmm.
So me being you, if you did decide to go down that road, then I would give the brand a refresh and hone the messaging and hone the angle and one thing that we did that was really helpful is we onboarded a bunch of mentors, you can call them. These are local prominent people from the community where I was like, hey, look, I really want to do this and I want bright minds from the community to, the light, the lift is really light. We structured it where it was like, hey, once a month, you donate an hour of your time or,
Hmm.
but then, and then also, then you ask them for permission to use them on your website. Right. So now you have a website where you have this brand refresh, the mission of like developing the minority tech ecosystem in Dallas. And, you have a loose sense of like what the program looks like, and that would be up to you to craft. And then you have like a Rolodex of mentors, and ideally you have some impressive people from the community. And just a hint and a hack is like the organizations that you kind of want to build closely with that might have some cash. You'll want to one of the people from their team to be a mentor usually, so that way they have them, you have a champion on the inside of those organizations being like, yo, you got to check this program out. And when COVID opens back up, one of the things that you do is you do a big showcase. So you have one big event in the year where all, let's say, all the kids, the cool thing is you'll have the flexibility to craft the curriculum. You can make
Yeah.
the curriculum focused around like building dev for big companies, or you can you can make it more hackathon based where the kids build app, whatever you want to do. But the point is, whatever you do decide to do, you have a one big showcase night where all the stakeholders from the community whom donated and supported and crowdfunded and this and that, they go to this nice big venue, which you'll have to pay for, but you can get it sponsored, and you have this big night where you go up there on stage and you say, hey, well, thank you everyone so much, and you welcome them. And then the kids show off their technology, and by the way, you're recording it and taking photos, and it makes a big splash in the local paper, and then people are like, yo, this is awesome. And you kind of set yourself up for more and more grant funding, and all of that is creating the infrastructure by which it will improve the odds of you really generating a winner,
Got you.
because your outreach is broader, your capital is there to support you. You have big companies supporting you, you have local government supporting you, you have smart mentors guiding these kids, and you'll see it's in the minority. Like, out of all the companies that we incubated, only one really has gone on to like do fairly well. But all you need is one.
Exactly.
So, and frankly, even if the kids aren't like winners in terms of like the companies they create, it's still gonna help your goal of, they'll remember your program, and you'll plant seeds in them, and then later on they'll go do things and they'll attribute it to Vision Dev. So that's what I would do, man, if I were you.
Okay. Got you. Got you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I hope this was helpful, man.
Yeah, it was.
Great. I'm glad. And, the email that I shot you to schedule me, that's my
Hmm.
personal email. So, you can hit me anytime. And, please do keep me in the loop as you develop the program. And maybe if you want a sounding board on the curriculum or the messaging or whatever, or kind of what you would do next, I'm my inbox open to you anytime, man. I'd love to be helpful.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No doubt. Be well,
All right.
man.
You too.
Peace.